Hello, everyone. This is my introduction to a piece of footage that I have it's 2 hours long, and I don't know. It sort of comes off like an episode of that TV show Intervention, only for atheists. And in order to introduce this piece, which I'm calling Dan the Man with the Master Plan and the Beer in His Hand, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit of the backstory behind it. First, I'll start with my relationship to Dan. I met Dan when I was 18 years old. We were both within a month of each other's age. I'm a month older than him. And when I met him, we hung out a lot, and he got me my first job at the Sierra Vista Herald, a local newspaper in the town we lived in. And it was only because of his pushiness that we even got that job. And it really affected the next year of my life, and the direction my life took. For that whole bit of time that I worked at that newspaper, every night after work, Dan and I would either be in Denny's or Village Inn, or we had this one neon big donut sign that we'd like to park under, and we'd talk for hours. You know, we didn't have blog TV or YouTube as outlets. This was 1996 and 97. And we talked a lot of philosophy, and sometimes we'd have other people in Dan's car, and they'd be in the back seat, and we'd all just talk. You know, it was, 3 a.m. at Denny's. You talk about some really strange stuff. And at the time, I'd like to say that Dan was as brilliant of a mind as anyone that I had met in my hometown. And definitely on par with my thoughts. He kept up, and he was a great friend. He was there when I needed him. Where we parted ways, and where my life took a positive turn and his just took a nosedive, was in February of 97, where I joined the Army and never looked back. Didn't want to visit my hometown ever again. And a couple months later, he joined the Army. And I got a really good job in the Army as an electronics calibration technician, and he got a really crappy job in the Army as an airborne spatula. He was a cook in an airborne unit. He got put out of the Army early. He didn't want to be in the Army anymore. And when he got out, he was an alcoholic. And everything that he tried to do to better himself after getting out of the Army failed, because his alcoholism crept up again, and he tried 5 or 6 different times to go back to school, and he could get maybe one good semester in, and then the next semester it would just go to shit because of alcoholism. We're going on 12 or 13 years of him being a really hard drinker. And in the same span of time, I finished a 6-year tour of duty in the Army. Got a really great job because of my training from the Army. Was able to put myself through a university level education, and I did it with one straight shot. And I never had a problem with drinking or binge drinking, but Dan did. We weren't in the same city after I got out of the Army. He stayed in Arizona primarily, in Phoenix, in that area. And after I got out of the Army, I moved to Wisconsin. But we kept in touch through the internet, and we would play video games with each other. And his alcoholism progressed into his video game playing to the point where I didn't want to play video games with him anymore. One night he had too much to drink, and he started saying things to me that I never really wanted to hear from him, and I ended up not talking to him for almost 3 years. And only in the past year did I reconnect with him. I started taking an interest in his rehab because I cannot stand the way that such a great, brilliant mind has been ruined by alcoholism. And I followed what was happening to him through email. I now live in Louisiana, not Wisconsin, but I've been following what happened to him. And then he found himself in a rehab program that was religiously based, and he is an atheist, but he hides his true feelings about religion because he can't find a treatment for alcoholism that isn't a 12-step program, that doesn't inject religion into it. So he has to basically go through the numbers with the religious aspects of treatment, and it's very hard for him to trust anyone in the treatment program that they are telling him the truth, because they're religious and he believes religion to be a lie. The last treatment that he was receiving, it was a program, it was like a halfway house where he had to work for the people that were running it. And he was running a concession stand in a very famous sports complex in Phoenix, Arizona, that we'll leave it at that. But he was basically getting $35 a week plus room and board. And he felt like he might have been ready to get out of treatment and go back into life. And there was no way he was ever going to save up enough money to get out of treatment at $35 a week. Especially when he was also a tobacco smoker, and basically that was cigarette money. So I offered him to stay at my place. I picked him up in Phoenix, and I offered him to stay at my place for a little while so that he could get his legs underneath him, and get on his feet and get out in the world and start becoming a productive member of society again. And what happened was failure, extreme failure. Dan lasted 7 days at my house before he started drinking. again, because the programs that he was in had teeth. If he drank in those programs and got caught, he'd get kicked out. And it happened a few times. He did get kicked out of some programs and have to find another entirely different organization to get into their program. So, I didn't kick him out at 7 days. It took me 2 months before I got tired of his drinking, to the point where I decided he needed to go back to rehab. And what the video that I am introducing here is the video that I made in my bedroom right after the moment where I told him that I was sending him back to rehab. I turned the camera on not just to catch the moment for, YouTube, or for people to be able to gawk at this. I turned the camera on because the friend that I had before had turned into something horrible. And I didn't know if he was going to explode when I broke the news to him that he had to go back. I didn't know if I was about to get mauled from behind. And so I just took my video camera and set it up right in front of my computer and left it on. And the video that resulted from this, edited down, is about 2 hours. And after looking at the footage, because he kept on coming back into my room and talking to me, and we actually came to a bit of a resolution that it was far from him blowing up on me, but I felt like the footage shows how hard it is to find treatment for addiction if you are an atheist or an agnostic. I think it shows, well, it also shows people how difficult it is to deal with the arguments that an addict can have when they're trying to keep doing whatever drug they are doing. And so in this footage I highlighted the types of arguments that Dan continued to make even after I told him that that was the final say, that he was going, no matter what, he was going back to rehab. I really feel like, because of the issues of addiction and atheism, and just because of the general issue of how to deal with the arguments of an addict, that this video is very important. And it also it explains a bit of my own depression and preoccupation for the past 3 months, because I've been dealing with these issues in my home. And I really wanted to share this with anyone who wants to see. So here it is. Dan, the man with the master plan and the beer in his hand.